Welcome back to the warm up with John Ben. Continuing our season outlook, we have the Philadelphia 76ers, a team that's been plagued of injuries and trying to trust the process over these past couple of years. But before we get into it, please like, comment, subscribe on the video, turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode of the warm up, and please follow our new social media followings on Instagram and Twitter as well. So, yeah, let's get into it. The 76ers, who I'm on the record on saying I think have one of the highest variants in the league. A team I think is filled with talent, filled with potential, but as we know, it's a battle of nutrition with these guys. Joel Embiid, when he's healthy, obviously he's the MVP candidate. He did it just 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago, and they got a bunch of youth with Tyrese Maxey and other players. But yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, yeah. I definitely agree with what you said about variance. I think that is a very big thing when we look at this Philadelphia 76ers roster. My goodness. Okay. Where we're going to start. Joel Embiid, obviously. PG-13, Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Quentin Grimes, Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond, Jared McCain, Trenton Warford, Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
I could easily pick this team to come out of the East. Like genuinely, I could say right now, this team's coming out of the East.
Yeah.
But they just can't stay healthy, you
Right.
know? Like truly, if this team stays healthy, they're coming out of the East. I think that's the
I can see
biggest
it.
that's the biggest thing about it because you look at this lineup. I mean, Embiid obviously has had knee issues like crazy. Paul George had a really down year last year, but we know it's still Paul George. He's still going to hoop. Tyrese Maxey is one of the best point guards in basketball. Edgecombe from Baylor is already looking like he's going to be that guy. Quentin
Mm-hmm.
Grimes, who you got in the trade deadline, who you got back on a cheap deal, and he literally had like a couple 40-point games for you last year.
Yeah.
Kelly Oubre, who has a lot of defensive talent, is just a dog. Jarrett
Mm-hmm.
McCain, whose season was cut short last year, who I think is going to be special.
Right.
Um, there's talent everywhere on this team, but the biggest thing for them is staying healthy. And I think that it's bigger than any team we've talked about so far in our outlooks because
Mhm.
there is so much variance here with this team. You don't know what they're going to be because you don't know who's going to be on the floor at night.
Right.
That's kind of where I stand.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you. This is a team I think, like you said, they could easily win the East this year. The only reason why I can never see it happening is as we get later into the playoffs, they're playing every other day, and I can't imagine Joel Embiid and Paul George playing every other day.
Nope.
Um, that being said, I think come regular season though, there's some also real concerns, but I think they can mask it a little bit better this season. BJ Edgecombe is such a young guard with immense athleticism. I think that could win you a couple regular season games. Pair that with Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, who I'm very high on. He's already hurt, but I think he should be good to go in about 3 weeks. I love the pickup of Trenton Wofford. He's a very underrated passer, in my opinion. Very underrated 3-point shooter. I love his game. Drummond, is Drummond. He's going to grab 8 to 10 rebounds a game off the bench. Paul George, I think, has the biggest question mark for me besides Embiid. Really down year last year, averaged around 16 points. Didn't look good at all. I just think he needs to. I think he needs to prove to himself he's still one of these not elite players like he once was, but one of the guys. You know what I mean? Like make an all-star team type of guy, an all-star level player. But yeah, Ben? Where do you see this team uh in the East standings? Because I know there's a lot of question marks behind that.
Oh my gosh. It's funny because this is a team that I forgot about like when we're listing those top 4 top 5 teams
Mm-hmm.
because of the amount of injuries. Like if I showed this roster to somebody who had no knowledge of injuries or like if injuries weren't a thing, people would be like, this roster's insane.
Right.
It's just kind of sad the way things are. I think it really depends on Embiid. I feel like it's obvious, but if he comes out there in the regular season and is able to play consistently, I could see them finishing higher.
Yeah.
Whether it's 5, probably top 6.
Mm-hmm.
If he's healthy, it's just a big if, and I don't think he will be. Unfortunately, I think load management is going to hit him hard this year, as it usually does. I don't think he'll deal with knee pain constantly. I just think the doctor's going to be really cautious in how much they play him. He won't play a single back-to-back this season for sure.
Yeah. Maybe for the
So,
rest of his career too.
yeah, I don't think he'll ever play a back-to-back again, man. So,
Yeah.
and for Paul George, he has shown that he can be healthy into the playoffs. In fact, when Kawhi went down those 2 years in a row, Paul George was still there. So,
Yeah.
I believe in that. And Tyrese Maxey is an absolute beast. I think he's one of the best point guards in the NBA. He's slept upon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say top 6 would be my answer to that question.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's one of those things like Embiid looks good. He looks skinny. He lost a lot of weight. I think I'm a little bit lower on you. I see this team being like a play-in team, but I don't think if you're the 1 or 2 seed, you want to see this team come play. Like if they're healthy, come playoff time. I think that's a really hard ask for if like Embiid's rolling at the end of the season and BJ is the hooping and Paul George. Like that's a hard first round team. I can see them upsetting a 1 to 2 seed, but at the end of the day, like I think this team could finish as high as 4 or 5, like you said, or as low as 14 to 15. Honestly, like it all depends on their health. Maybe not as low as 14 to 15. Just because VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, I think, are so good, and the East isn't that good. I could see them winning you games by themselves, but it's gonna come down to like Paul George and them Embiid for sure.
Yeah, Philly has had a lot of roster turnover, but I think one of the things I like about their roster now is that they've got a lot more young guys than they
Mm-hmm.
used to. This team used to be a lot more veteran built in the past, back when Ben Simmons was there and James
Yeah.
Harden. They were very used to bringing in veterans, and they thrived off that. Guys like Georges Niang and other guys that they bring off the bench. Like, let me think of a few names. Let's see. Well, they have Lowry and Gordon now,
Mm-hmm.
and James Ennis was one of the guys that
Mm-hmm.
they would always bring off the bench. There's one guy specifically.
They used to have
Not,
Thibault.
yeah, Thibault.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot of upside. But now this bench thrives off of young guys, which
Mm-hmm.
I think is very important for this team. Also considering that their top 2 guys are injury prone and veterans, so
Yeah.
it's a pretty big deal. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Philly does. They have a chance to rewrite the books and have a clean slate. So we'll see what they do with it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. If the Philly was gonna do it, it'd be a year like this where Boston's not in contention,
It has to be.
Indiana's not in contention. Back to the bench scoring and like you were saying, I love Justin Edwards, Jared McCain coming off the bench, when healthy. But yeah, I think for me, it's all about health. We'll see what happens. But I'm excited to watch this team. I think they're probably one of the most exciting teams I am to watch just because of VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey. I think that's probably one of the most explosive backcourts in the NBA, from a speed and Maxey from a speed and vertical leap and VJ. Like, that's a really fun backcourt for sure.
Couldn't agree more, man.
Yeah. You got anything else to add?
Not anything big, just hats off to Philly and how they've drafted. Stay healthy.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more. All right, everybody. That concludes our season outlook on the Philadelphia 76ers. Leave a comment below. Let us know your thoughts on Philly and their chances on winning the East or where you think they'll end up. Please like and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode of the warm up. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace and stay safe.